Day, good night, everybody. Today we're looking at classification of numbers, and we have here our our table of classification. So we're being given a set of numbers, and we must state if they're natural, whole, integer, rational, irrational, real, imaginary, or complex. And we're going to go one by one. Okay? So let's look at the first example. The first example says 4 plus 5i. Is it natural? No, it's not a natural number. Is it whole? It's not whole either. Whole numbers are just single digits. Is it an integer? No, it's not an integer either. Is it rational? No, it's not rational. Is it irrational? It isn't irrational either. Is it real? It isn't real either. Or part of it may be real, but the whole thing isn't real. Is it imaginary? No, it has an imaginary part, but it is not imaginary. It is simply complex. So 4 plus 5i. So in the last column, all I'm going to be doing is writing out the number in its complex form. Okay? Question. Let's look at the second one. The second one says pi I. Now, the pi is irrational, but the I is imaginary. So at this point, you should know which one supersedes which one. Which group is a bigger group? In this case, the I is superior to the pi. So if I say, is it natural? No, it's not a natural number. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, or any of those numbers. Is it whole? No, it is not whole. Is it an integer? No, it's not an integer. Is it rational? No, it's not rational. The pi is rational, but because it is connected to I, then it is not irrational because it is not real. It is imaginary. Imaginary supersedes. In other words, imaginary is more powerful, a group, than irrational. And how would I write it as a complex number? Well, if this is the imaginary part, then the real part is 0. So 0 plus pi I. The third one says the square root of -6. So the square root of -6 over 3. But when it comes to this classification, we have to be able to understand what that number really is. Because 3 can go into 3, 1, 3 can go into 6, 2. So this is basically the square root of -2. Right? So is the square root of -2 natural? The answer is no, it's not. Is it whole? Once it's not natural, then it will not be whole. Right? If it is not whole, then it's kind of difficult for it to be an integer. Okay? If it is not an integer, it more than likely is not rational. Is it irrational? In reality, if it would have been the root of 2, it would have been irrational. But because there's a negative inside, then it is not irrational. So if it's not rational and it's not irrational, then it cannot be real, which means that this must be imaginary. And if it is imaginary, then to write the complex number, I must add the real part, so 0 plus the root of -6/3. And that there is its complex form.